Hey, I'm Claire Warren, interviewing John Green about his newest book, The Fault in Our Stars, for Little Shop of Stories.
Hi.
Okay, my first question is how do you relate so well with the teenage mindset?
I don't know. I wish I had a good answer for that question. I read a lot of things that teenagers write on the internet, on Twitter and Tumblr and YouTube. I think that's part of it, but I think part of it is just it's just an active imagination, and I prefer to imagine teenagers to adults. I'm starting to find adults interesting, but I don't find adults as interesting as I find teenagers, because teenagers are doing so much interesting stuff for the first time in their lives. You know, they're falling in love for the first time, and they're like grappling with these big questions for the first time, and I find that really interesting.
So is that why you decided to write YA books too, because more interesting than adult?
Yeah, I really like having teenagers as readers, and so I think that's the number one reason. But then I also do like writing about teenagers. I think they make for really interesting characters, but mostly it's because I like having high school and college kids as my readers.
Yeah, I really was like, how can you do this? Because parents always think they know what you're going through, but they never actually do.
Well, it's very different when it's your kid.
Yeah, I guess
you know, and even with my kid now, he's only 2, but already I know that it's different. So I will be every bit as annoying a parent as anyone else, I think.
Okay, my next question is how is it different from writing from a girl's perspective?
It was really different writing from a girl's perspective, just because you know, Hazel has a different set of concerns than most boys would have, I think. But some of that is because she's a girl, and some of that is because she's sick, and some of that is just because she's the person who she is. So it wasn't that hard to write from a girl's perspective, but only because I was writing from Hazel's perspective. I think if I tried to write from another girl's perspective, it would have been much harder.
You did a great job.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome. Which character in The Fault in Your Stars are you most like?
I guess I would say Peter Van Houten, the author in the book, because I'm also an author. Hopefully I'm not as much of a jerk as he is, but I think some of his like pretentiousness and his, you know, being very opinionated, like sometimes I feel like that's the worst of me, and so he's kind of the things that I fear are inside of me, I guess.
What was your inspiration for this book?
Well, there were 2 inspirations. First, I worked as a chaplain at a children's hospital many years ago, and ever since then I've been trying to write a book about sick kids. But the more recent inspiration was a fan of my books who I met a few years ago, named Esther Earle, who died in 2010. And in the course of knowing Esther and having the friendship with her that I was so lucky to have, it made me think really differently about I guess the value and goodness of short lives, and so I really wanted to write a story about that, and she did that. Wow.
Sound eager.
Scary.
Okay, so can we know anything about any other upcoming books, or?
I don't know what my next book is going to be about yet. I'm really interested in tunnels. There are all these tunnels underneath Moscow that I really am interested in. So maybe that, but I thought that The Fault in Our Stars was going to be about kids stranded on a desert island, so you never know. It's too early to say.
Okay, well that's all I have. I'm Claire Warren for the Little Shop of Stories Galley Club, and don't forget to be awesome.
DFTBA.